don't take... Hello, sweeties, and welcome back to another edition of I Am Sick Again. I start to get better, and then suddenly it's back, and worse than ever, and it's driving me slowly insane. So this week, I want to talk about something that has come to my mind fairly regularly in the past few years, and that is my age/level of maturity. And we're going to start this off with a little story. This story may not actually be all that interesting to people, but it kind of brings me into a topic that I do want to talk about. So I'm going to tell you anyway. I played basketball for many years. I played from second grade all the way through my senior year. Needless to say, I loved basketball. As a fifth grader, I found out that I had a cousin who also loved basketball, and she, in fact, played on a D1 college team. Probably one of the coolest thing anyone could be doing with their life, I think, to me at that point. We started kind of exchanging emails and talking about it, and eventually we ended up going down to visit because she came close to our house for a game, and we went down to visit and meet her, and so I could kind of see this person that was, at the time, what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. It was really fun. I got to meet new family members. I got to meet an entire college basketball team. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, that was probably one of the coolest things that I could have done with my life. That would continue to happen every year when she had games that was close enough for us to go see. And one summer, my parents decided that it would be a good idea to send me to a basketball camp that her team was running, and it would had all of the girls from that basketball team and other ones from other teams throughout the country. I'm assuming they lived in that area, and it was so cool. I got to meet all these older girls that were doing what I loved, and I got to learn from them, and I got to stay with her on their campus in her little apartment. I think that was when I was in between 7th and 8th grade. And to me, these girls were adults. They knew what they were doing with their life. They were college students, so obviously that was the case. However, now that I am older than she was now, the idea of someone sending their 7th grade child to stay with me, even for just a week, would be terrifying. I don't know how she did it. Obviously, they trusted her. They knew that I would be staying with someone who could handle it, but it's just amazing to me. I was sent to this basketball camp with a girl who's in her early 20s and her friends who were all just college students. They're all just college students. I wasn't responsible when I was, even just a couple years ago, I wasn't nearly as responsible as I am now, and I don't know that I would feel comfortable taking care of someone else's kid for a week with all of my other college student friends around. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I got to stay with this group of people that I thought were really cool, and I got to enjoy a basketball camp for a week. But anyway, that story kind of leads me into what I've been thinking about for the past, I would say, year and a half, which is maturity level, but more like the in-depth piece of figuring out what you actually want out of your life and knowing what exactly it is that you need to do to get that, and going and getting it, and ambition in general. So about a year and a half ago, a couple years ago, I thought I knew exactly what that was. I was going to school. I was studying something that I found fairly interesting, and I wanted to learn more about. I was excited to graduate and get out and work in a lab and do important research. And then a lot changed. And I was not interested in my classes anymore. I was still interested in the subject matter, but just sitting and learning about it and then having and taking notes and having to study for tests that I will then forget all about in about 3 weeks while I'm trying to study for my next test, because that's what's more important in my life at the moment, is the next test, not learning. And then I started to realize that while I was excited about that, it wasn't the same excitement I had when I first kind of started to think about it. It was more of, I'm excited to get out and do rather than stay in and learn. At the time, that thing I was learning about was eventually going to be the thing I was doing, so that's what I got excited about. I started to realize that maybe the doing wasn't so much what I was excited about. It was the learning about it. It was just sitting and listening to a lecture or watching a documentary and just learning. But I didn't necessarily want to take that knowledge and go out and do with it. I still loved sitting and watching those documentaries and listening to people talk about this subject, but the idea of doing that for the rest of my life started to sound a lot less appealing with each passing day. So I really had to kind of look into myself, my heart, and my head to know what it was I really did want to do. I watched a fair amount of YouTube videos in that time, just kind of for entertainment. I came across one channel in particular run by two women who do a whole variety of different things with their channel. They have like the regular weekly vlogs that they'll do, and then little things in the interim. But they also had like a web series that they did, and other smaller like skits, I guess you would call them, that they would post also. And in those, you'd see a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. That's always something that I found really interesting. My friends think it's really weird, but I will always, once I have seen a movie, I'll go back through the DVD and find just about all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that I can, because it's so fascinating to me. It always has been. And that's when I came to realize that that's the kind of stuff I wanted to do, that I want to do film stuff is, I guess, the broadest term that I can give to it. I guess the final point that I want to get across is I work with people who are getting ready to graduate high school, and they are freaking out, for lack of a better term, that they don't know what they want to do, that they don't necessarily know what they want to do with their life. I didn't know when I was your age, and I'm still fairly young, and I've just figured out what it is I want to do. Just because you don't know as an 18-year-old what you want to spend the rest of your life doing, what you want to spend the next 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years of your life doing, doesn't set you back further than someone who does know what they want to do. And you don't have to know at that stage in your life. I even thought I knew, and I was wrong. I have since figured it out, and I am far happier knowing this than I ever was at that stage. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't stress yourself out. Don't create this huge ball of anxiety that you don't get rid of because you don't know. I did that. I had the anxiety attacks. I had the stress that built and built and built until it broke. It's not worth it. It really isn't. I know that's a lot easier said than done, but you have so much time to figure it out. Well, that took a weird turn. Started out with a fun, if not all that interesting story, and ended with me saying things that I wish I had heard in my late teens, early 20s. But I think I'm going to end this video here. I don't want it to get too incredibly long, so I'm going to leave you with two last thoughts. First, don't take yourself or life too seriously. Enjoy it. Do the things you love doing with the people you love doing them with. Second, don't be afraid to branch out and try new things. You may find that thing you want to do for the rest of your life. So I will end this video here, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.